Boston Clam Chowder is white. Manhattan Clam Chowder is a red tomato broth based clam chowder. Today it's Boston style. You know, I love clam chowder. I've had it all over California. San Francisco, Monterey, Seattle, Pismo Beach, by the way, is the clam capital of the world. We lived there for 25 years starting in the early 70s and used to go clamming all the time. Well, the clams are mostly gone, but there's no shortage of places that serve their version of clam chowder. Some good and some not so good. For me though, the best clam chowder I've ever had, other than this home version right here, is from Pike Place Chowder in Seattle. And this version is as close to that version I've ever made. So let's do it. So my version of Pike Place Chowder includes the following: some bacon, shallots or white onion, celery, unsalted butter, half and half, cream, dry sherry, clam juice, minced clams, baby clams, some fresh thyme, granulated garlic, herbs de Provence, about 1 pound of Yukon Gold potatoes, and cornstarch. Of course, a bread bowl if you want, chopped chives, and the not so secret ingredient many chefs use for soups, chowders, and sauces: clam base. So to start, we're going to need to place the potatoes in a large saucepan, cover with cold water, and bring to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you're going to lower the heat, cover it, and let them simmer for about 15 minutes. Now, depending on the size of your potatoes, adjust your cooking time. These are kind of small. I think I let them go about 10 minutes. You don't want them to get mushy. You want them to be just barely starting to get tender. So fish them out, put them in a bowl, and then put them in the refrigerator to cool. And when they are cool, peel them, then dice about 3/8 of an inch. So while your potatoes are cooling, onward to the chowder. Now, in a large saucepan over a medium heat, maybe medium low, we're going to add the chopped bacon and cook until done, but not crispy. Now you're going to remove the bacon to a bowl and drain off most of the bacon fat. Back onto the fire, add a couple tablespoons of butter, and in go celery and the onions. A little bit of salt, a little bit of white pepper, and cook for about 5 minutes until they're just starting to get soft. Now add the bottle of clam juice, strain the juice out of the minced clams. Not putting the clams in yet, okay? Both cans. Do the same for the baby clams. Bring this to a simmer. While you're waiting for it to come to a simmer, you're going to add half a teaspoon of herbs de Provence, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of granulated garlic. Oh, don't forget the fresh thyme, chopped up, about a teaspoon, maybe half a teaspoon. In. And about a half cup of dry sherry. Bring to a simmer, cover, and let it cook on low for about 15 or 20 minutes. After about 15 minutes, you're going to want to add your secret ingredient. About a teaspoon of clam base. 1 cup of half and half. And now you have a choice. You can leave it like it is, kind of rustic and a little chunky and all the herbs showing and things, or you can blend it with an immersion blender. Once it comes back to a simmer, you're going to mix 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and about 3 tablespoons of half and half. Make sure it's mixed up real well with a fork. Add it to the chowder. Let it come back to a simmer and start to thicken just a little bit. As it's kind of getting thicker. By the way, this is not a real thick chowder. I don't make mine super thick. I don't want my spoon to stand up in it. But it'll thicken up as it cooks and once you add the cream. Now though, you do want to taste it. It does not need any salt, but I do want to add more pepper. And I use white pepper because it's white, and this is white chowder rather than black pepper. Once it's thickened up a little bit, it's still kind of simmering, you want to add your minced clams finally. And here's why you do at least 2 cans. Unlike tuna, it's not stocked to the brim. Not a lot of clams in there, so I use 2. And whole baby clams. Gives it a lot better texture and a lot more meaty. The whole idea is you want it to taste like clams. The clam base and the clams. By the way, I've made this before with clams, whole clams, but enough clams to make this amount from clam chowder. The clams alone cost about 30 bucks, so that's why I and most other people do it this way. You're going to add back your cooked bacon, and I always hold back a tablespoon or 2 that we're going to mince up for garnish. Add your 1 cup of cream, and you're almost there. You're going to heat that through, but you're also going to add your cooked potatoes that you've kept in the refrigerator, cool, peeled, and chopped about 3/4 of an inch. We'll do that in a couple minutes. Okay, add your diced pre-cooked potatoes, and they're about 90%, maybe 80% cooked. So you're going to want to put them in here when it's simmering. Cover it. Let it sit for 15-20 minutes and you're ready to serve. Now if you're not going to serve it right away, my suggestion is to take off the lid, put this in something bigger and less deep, and put it in the refrigerator and cool it, because if you leave it hot sitting for more than an hour or so, those potatoes are going to get too mushy. So with that said, let's get ready to serve.